Steven, when's the last time you had a physical?
Been a while.
Been a while for me too.
Mm-hmm.
With all the talk of that stuff lately in the Bay Area, thought maybe I should get one just in case I would fail mine as well.
See, that's the thing. I don't. Well, Derek, it's not going to be the same exactly for you. It's
How
just,
so?
well, it's just going to be a physical. Make sure you don't have a hernia. Okay, let's move on. It's not going to be a physical to see if the doctor has to pay you a 13-year, $400 million contract and see if
Oh,
any injuries linger on.
thought it would be the same for all of us.
Yeah, no, sorry to break it to you, but no. Mm.
Damn. Welcome everybody to Just Your Opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. We're coming to you from a gloomy morning of Saturday. It's gloomy outside for you?
No, it's pretty bright.
Never
Doesn't look
mind
too
then.
gloomy out here.
Only in the East Bay. I guess
Mm.
it's gloomy. About to rain, I guess, here in Oakland, and then we're going to get sunshine for the rest of the day.
Okay.
That's your weather report.
Huh, very good.
We'll get to the Super Bowl a lot today. We'll preview it. I'm just glad I don't have to drive to it like I had to last year. We all know about that.
Oh,
Where I had to drive to the Super Bowl, and it took longer to actually get to the game once I parked my car at LAX and had to get on the bus with all the Bengal fans, and then didn't know if the parking lot was going to tow my car while I was working on the Super Bowl at NFL Network. Glad I could just watch the game at home this year.
yeah. Well, it's my favorite. Do you like watching games at like Super Bowl parties? Because I don't.
Yeah, doesn't bother me.
I just, I don't know. I always find myself I can't pay attention to the game. I don't know what it is. I try, but like whenever I'm at a Super Bowl party, I don't know. There's always someone there who I haven't seen for a while. It's like I don't want to convene for the Super Bowl where my sole focus is going to be on something entirely different. If I'm at a party and partying, with like with friends or something like that, with friends, then yeah, I'd rather just like do it at an event that's more social. Like the Super Bowl shouldn't be a social thing. It shouldn't be a social gathering.
It's strictly work for you.
It's not even strictly work. It's just sit down, shut up, watch the game, let me hear these commercials and give my critique
Well, that's
on
the
them.
thing is that if you're looking to dissect the commercials, then Super Bowl parties are not a good thing for you.
No, not at
As far
all.
as the game, I'm good at multitasking. I'm not actually good at bars. If I watch a game at a bar and then the next day I'm doing a show and someone's like, "You remember that one play?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't remember actually."
Yeah.
Alcohol being involved probably doesn't help either. But
Nope.
by the way, I gotta say one thing that grinds my gears
Oh,
is releasing Super Bowl commercials before the Super Bowl. So have you
yes.
seen this Pop Corners commercial for Breaking Bad?
I have not. I've seen the preview for it. I remember like man, which one was it? It was the um it was the Boston one with Rachel Dratch and Chris Evans
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and
Park the car in Harvard Yard.
yeah. Oh, just going down to the harbor. Oh my god. Hang on, I'm sorry. My cat's all over the place.
No,
She's been driving me nuts, Derek. Nuts. She was up. She's just ripping our mail apart. Baby.
all right. Well, Steven takes care of the cat. I'll just give you a rundown of where we get through to today.
It's just right here. I'm not far. But anyway, when that commercial came out, I was like obsessed with it. And then someone's like, "What? You haven't seen that commercial before? They already showed like the preview before it came out of the Super Bowl." I'm like, "No, I didn't see it before because it's a Super Bowl commercial, and I didn't see it before Super Bowl Sunday."
Yeah. Well, that's the problem now. Is they put this shit on Twitter now. I've already seen the Walter White and Jesse commercial for Pop Corners. So look
Hmm.
forward to that tomorrow.
I will. I'm very excited.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be released. Well, what's the whole point? Just to
I
see
know.
something on social media before you see it on TV?
It's
Think we're all
ridiculous.
stupid?
It's ridiculous. That's how I feel about social media when it comes to the draft. The draft picks are announced before before they actually show them on TV.
Well, if that's the case, you should just put your phone away before the draft.
Well, yeah, but I'm not going to do
But
that.
then you wouldn't know if AJ Brown got traded or whatnot.
Right. I guess I do have to turn off the notifications for Woj, and so I guess that is on me. More so, and just blaming other people. But still,
Speaking of which, we'll get to all of the NBA trades at the deadline or lack thereof if you're the Warriors, and we'll see in a couple of hours here if they go with the flow of the GP2 James Wiseman trade. But
Mhm.
before we get to all of that, actually, we had breaking news that happened not too, I guess, a little bit after we ended the podcast Wednesday night with Kevin Durant going to the Phoenix Suns. I reacted to a little bit after we did the podcast, but we'll do a whole reaction with you, Steve, in a little bit here. But before we do that, Super Bowl. How excited are you for the Super Bowl in comparison to other Super Bowls in the past? I think this one is actually very intriguing with the two quarterbacks and the two teams. Would you say that this is probably the closest Super Bowl as far as a matchup we've had in quite some time?
Yeah, yeah, I'd say. Mm, well, the fact that these two teams are like mostly healthy, it feels like we've seen for the past couple of Super Bowls, like teams going in without a clean bill of health. I mean,
Hmm.
you get your the only real issue is what's going on with your two quarterbacks right now, how they're going to handle it with Jalen Hurts coming off the shoulder and Patrick Mahomes, and how he's going to deal with that high ankle sprain and if that's going to affect them. So, really, like I'd say, as far as health wise, that's how it goes. I don't know how close these two teams are. Like when I'm at least when I'm thinking about, I think they're very close. Like if I had to give like if I had to tell you who the two best teams in the trenches are in the AFC and the NFC, I'd probably say the Chiefs are right up there, and I'd pretty convincingly the Eagles are right up are the top of the NFC. And when it comes to the defensive lines, Chiefs aren't really known as one of the best, but they are damn good. Chris Jones is one of the best defensive tackles in the game, if not
Yeah.
the best defensive tackle in the game. Frank Clark's pretty damn good too. So yeah, I'd say I don't know if it's one of those even that we've seen in a while, but I think it's going to be a much better game than people are making it out to be. I'm just hearing so much just Chiefs, 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 Chiefs. Eagles have
Hmm.
no shot. I'm like, what?
Who
I don't
who
really
who
buy
are you
that.
who are you listening to?
A lot of people from the Bay Area.
Okay. Well, yeah. Nationally, I'd say people are on the Eagles.
Are they?
Well, they're the betting favorite.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Have you not even looked at the spreads and anything?
I've looked at the props. I've been looking at exotic props all
We'll
week,
we'll get to some exotic props as well. I got that
but I
on the
haven't looked at the
agenda.
spreads. No.
No, I think this is pretty damn good. I thought last year, I thought the Bengals were there a year too early, but it was an entertaining game nonetheless. And I think that if Odell Beckham doesn't get hurt, I think that game would have been more of a blowout than what was the close score in the end. As far as other games in the past, like Bucks and Chiefs in recent memory was fun, but then it turned out to be a blowout just because the Chiefs were going into the Super Bowl, like you said, Steven, not healthy with both of their starting tackles out. I'm trying to think of other Super Bowls in recent memory that have injuries. Not that I
And
could think of with the Chiefs and Niners, but like, yeah, I would say like as far as
I mean,
the
even last
two,
year when the Bengals went out there with their offensive line, I mean,
yeah, that's true.
it wasn't like they were hurt during the postseason, but they were hurt through the regular season, and
They
they
were
were down to the last vestiges of the O line.
They also just had a bad offensive line, and they somehow managed to get through, the Titans game with 9 sacks, and then the Chiefs game. They came back and won that game, and then the Super Bowl, it just crumbled for them. Where the Rams, I think, sacked him 6 times in the second half, and
Hmm.
that's what led to their downfall. But yeah, I'd say on paper this is pretty interesting. I don't know if these are the two best teams in all of football. I think certainly the NFC, yes. The Eagles, from beginning of the year to the end of the year, they were no doubt the best team in the NFC, and I think they have the most talent in all the NFL. As far as the Chiefs, I think that they just been there, done that. They have the best quarterback in all of football, and that's what helps them. But as far as the entire roster, I think the Eagles are way more talented. But we'll get to all that in a little bit here before we break down the game. Let's talk about the NBA trade deadline real quick because we didn't react to Kevin Durant going to the Phoenix Suns. But before that, it came to an end, the James Wiseman era. So back in 2020, the Warriors drafted James Wiseman with a second overall pick. They had their chance to get Anthony Edwards or uh,
Lamelo Ball.
LaMelo Ball, and I'm glad they didn't. But you could have made the case for Anthony Edwards. Well, actually, Anthony Edwards went one, so you couldn't. I didn't want LaMelo Ball on the Warriors. That's one I don't think I regret on. But I think the Warriors regret James Wiseman, and they traded him on Thursday to the Orlando Magic for 5 second round picks. It was a 4-team trade.
Mm.
where the Warriors were trading James Wiseman to the Orlando Magic. Sadiq Bey was going to the Warriors, and then the Warriors were sending James Wiseman to the Orlando Magic, where they were taking those 5 second round picks to Portland to get back their old buddy GP2. Now, we go back to this trade a little bit, but of course, the latest news is from last night. Sham Charania, Anthony Slater, and everybody saying that Gary Payton II failed his physical. He has been dealing with an oblique injury since July when he had surgery. And I guess the Portland Trailblazers failed to disclose to the Warriors that he's been shooting up Toradol before every game.
Vitamin T.
Vitamin T, baby. And it was funny because we yesterday on Tolbert to Copes, we had Marcus Thompson on. And right before he was about to come on, he texted me and goes, "Hey, could we do this interview on Monday?" And I was like, "Okay, that's fine." And then he's like, "Actually, you know what? Forget it. Let's just do it now." And Marcus Thompson comes on, and the news breaks during the interview, and he goes, "Ah, damn, that's why I didn't want to come on today." So he was trying to, I guess, break the story, and we prevented him from doing that. But
you ruined it.
It's not my fault. In the end, he decided to come on. But
Okay.
yeah, apparently this is what they've been dealing with the last couple of days. Steve Kerr was supposed to come on with Tolbert to Copes and Damon Bruce and Ratto, and he canceled both days, and for very good reason, because they don't want to look like the Giants.
Right.
So, and before we get into everything, this is not the Carlos Correa situation. It's funny because we're in the Bay Area and both, big time deals. Not Carlos Correa was a monumental deal compared to this, but it's just funny that deals may not go through because of failed physicals. But this is in no way close to the Carlos Correa deal, in my opinion. This is, GP2. He was on the team 7 months ago. I understand that the Portland Trailblazers screwed you, and you may never do business with them again as far as their general manager. But I understand this was supposed to be like a win now move. I don't know about that. Gary Payton II. You can have him on your roster for the next 2 years. I know he's got injury issues, but I would just go through with the trade. At this point, you're going to screw over 3 other teams. Do you really want James Wiseman coming back and have that awkwardness? I would say you could find another good wing defender on the buyout market. Maybe get Pat Beverly. That would be interesting with him and Draymond on the same team. But I don't think this is that big of a deal. I think that, yes, it does hinder your chances of winning right now. But then again, I don't really know if I was really thinking that the Warriors had a good chance this season to begin with. So I would just go through with the trade.
Wait, so has that been let's start with the first thing. Has that been like a prevailing thought? Is that this is comparable to the Carlos Correa situation?
No, not at all. I just everybody on Twitter is just like, "Oh God," exactly.
Well, it's not. It's objectively not the same thing.
It's not the same at all.
It's. I mean, it's similar in that. Yeah, it was a failed physical, but with where these two are, the situations that they were in, it's not like the Warriors were searching for the cornerstone of their franchise and they have them at the very last second. This is nowhere near the Carlos Correa situation. Oh my gosh! If you look at the context with that compared to these, that's not even a debate. That's not even a discussion. That's nope, not the same. And with the Wiseman pick, I think the fact that you're saying that just goes to the fact that you're saying they need to just go through with it, even though they'll probably be without him for the rest of the regular season. Just to say, yeah, they need to go through with it. I think that's such an indictment. And I'm not saying that you're the only one that feels that way. I think a lot of people might feel this way. That's just such an indictment on how this pick went for the Warriors. Picking Wiseman with the number 2. And I'm looking back at the draft. I took a look at the draft the other day, and it's so hard to say they made the wrong choice because LaMelo, of course I'd go back in hindsight and say, yeah, I'll take LaMelo Ball. Of course I'd say that in hindsight now, knowing what I'm getting with Wiseman. But when it comes to these other guys that were picked within the top 10, a lot of them were big men. Onyeka Okongwu, Patrick Williams, Obi Toppin, Isaac Okoro, a lot of guys who were it's hard to see whether they would fit with the Warriors or not. Then you can go outside the top 10, and a lot of I hear the name Tyrese Halliburton's thrown around. I'm like, okay, shut up. You like no one would have known that Tyrese Halliburton would have been worth the number 2 overall pick. Um, like, no, I'm not going to buy into that. I actually thought, like, if you didn't think Wiseman was going to be like that, if you didn't think Wiseman was going to turn into something, especially after college, I was saying on the air when I was on the air talking about the draft, I was saying you could trade down, you could possibly get Halliburton if you trade down, if you're down far enough, or like I was actually high on Denny of Deha at the time from Washington. Just because I was like, oh, that guy hasn't played college. He's like the number 1 basketball player in Israel, I think was where he was playing, or Spain or something like that. And I was dead wrong on that one.
Israel, Spain, same thing.
It's not the same thing, but I was just like, I can't remember which pro league it was. And then but yeah, he was I go back on that draft, I'm like, I don't necessarily blame them for making that pick. I was high on Wiseman. I was like, if they pick Wiseman, I'm good with that. I don't like they can develop him, and clearly like whatever he was hoping to turn into or what they were hoping he could turn into, he wasn't that guy. And man, it's just they're normally patient with their first rounders. Like instead of being treated like Jordan Poole and Kevon Looney, instead he's being treated like Damian Jones and Jacob Evans.
Well,
Like,
I mean, to be honest, though, like, how long do you want to wait? It's 3 seasons. Got
exactly.
hurt, and I'm with you, Steven. I don't think that they made the wrong move. I think they made the right move. If LaMelo Ball is on this Warriors team, I don't think he fits whatsoever, and I'm not sure he pans out either. Too.
Come on, man. The dude's an unbelievable player. He needs, like, what LaMelo needs, genuinely, I think, is like a team that isn't full, that doesn't have a coaching staff that just teaches your turn, my turn. Like, I think if he was involved in this system, I really think LaMelo would thrive. I
I don't know.
really do.
I'm not so sure about that. I honestly think it's more of a mental thing with James Wiseman, to be perfectly honest. I think that he had big expectations coming out of college. He was very young, 19. And to be completely honest, he's not strong mentally as far as Anthony Edwards in just confidence of who he is. And that's really, I guess, mean for me to say, but I think that's just what it is. Like, this team was ready to win. This team has a mentality. It's won 3 championships before James Wiseman got there, and it's either you do it the Warrior way or you don't. And I think that James Wiseman it was too much for him with the Draymond yelling at him and Steve Kerr's expectations. If he was on any other team, I think he would have been all right, just because they would have given him time to grow. The Warriors had different expectations. I don't think any other team would have sent him down to the G League as much as the Warriors did, but they just have a different standard. And I don't think James Wiseman, he's just too young for him, too quick for him.
Well, that's the struggle too with the G League thing is they sent him down, and every time he went down to the G League for a couple of games, he looked like the best player on the court. It's like, okay, he's ready to come
That's
back up, and then you play him 5 minutes, and he makes one mistake, and he's done.
that's why I think it was a mental thing. I think that just playing with the best players, arguably in the NBA with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, there was a certain standard, and he was looked to be, the Warriors have needed a center for the longest time. They've got him by with Kevon Looney. Kevon Looney had a fantastic season last year, probably the best of his career. They tried getting DeMarcus Cousins. They drafted Damian Jones. And then they never just were content on a center. And this guy was supposed to be it. And it just did not pan out. So I could see him having success in this league. And then people saying, like, oh, the Warriors made this trade too quickly. No, I
Yeah.
think that Steve Kerr knows what he's doing. I think that Bob Myers knows what he's doing. And it's funny. We'll see where this team goes going forward after this, because I got to be completely honest. I don't think they really have a plan for the future right now. I think it's a lot of up in the air stuff with Bob Myers potentially leaving, and I think he is going to. Draymond Green, I think he's going to leave as well. I don't know where they're going because, like, this whole phase 2 thing and, going forward with the younger guys, I don't think they're very confident in the younger guys. They signed Jordan Poole to that contract, but we'll talk about it a little bit here, but if you look back on it in the summertime, maybe you should have made that deal for Kevin Durant.
Mm.
at the time, you just won a championship and you feel good about your young team going into the season, and you think James Wiseman's going to take the next step. Do you think Jordan Poole, after getting paid, is going to take the next step? Kaminga, everybody, but it hasn't gone that way. So I think this is the biggest question mark going forward for the Warriors is they don't really, I don't think, have a plan. I thought, and the GP2 thing is just them getting a guy they like back, I think Thursday was a lot of we fucked up moves.
Yeah.
Like James Wiseman taking him second, we fucked up. Even though I think it's the right move at the time, but now you look at it, didn't pan out. Not signing Gary Payton the second in the offseason, we fucked up. I think it's just a mission of we should have done these things in the past and we didn't.
Yeah, but it's hard to tell in real time. Just like us thinking in the draft that making the Wiseman pick with the number 2 was the right pick. Just like last year, where I'm like, okay, if they don't feel they can pay GP2, then okay, they have to let them walk. Like this is just a situation that they're in right now. They're in a bind here. They're still in the luxury tax. Like $1 million could turn into like translates really into 6 million is what that is. I could be. I'm very much wrong on the math there, but you get where I'm going. It's just like it's not just $1 million.
This isn't a math podcast.
You got to multiply it by a lot in order to fit into the thing. But yeah, I agree, and it's just the Wiseman thing is just yeah, it's definitely mental, but it's also just him understanding like I'm not the right fit. I think he kind of knew that too. And let's just not even act like it's it's a Kerr and Myers decision either. Or I mean, I don't know if it was a Lacob one. Lacob seems to really love Wiseman. I think he was probably hesitant to let him go. And I think maybe, there's a chance that, hey, we'll trade for GP2. Oh, okay. Well, all right, I'll deal with that. Maybe that's what Joe Lacob was saying, and then Bob Myers and Kerr were saying that. But also, can't forget, they do take advice from their own players. They do talk to Steph and Dre about it. I don't know so much Clay, but they do talk to those guys about these sort of moves. And, they probably they clearly didn't make a push. If Steph and Dre would have said, hey, you know what? Give him some time. Like, keep him here. Give him some time. We'll work with him. Like, don't trade him. That probably would have been the case then. But they clearly didn't say something like that. They had to get rid of him. He's going to be more expensive than GP2 next year.
Well, how much longer could they have gone with his trade value diminishing?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Would they have gotten more for him at the beginning of the season as opposed to now? Because 5 second-round picks, it got you GP2, but we'll see about that deal now. And yeah, are you in agreement with me, Steven, that they should just go through with the trade at this point? Because
might as well.
Yeah, I understand like people want the Warriors to win now. I think they still very well could without even GP2. But the Western Conference has changed dramatically in the last week.
And this also opens up room to it's probably going to be Anthony Lamb, but it opens up room to sign one of your two-way guys to a contract who you've been playing all along. And so instead of just wasting, plus it's not fair to Wiseman. It's like I said on the last podcast, man. It's like there's certain times where the trade is in favor of the player. Like Wiseman, clearly fantastic in the G League. And you know what? Maybe if he's on an offense where the center is the ball dominant guy and they could just, I'm sure you've heard this a bunch, throw it to him in the low post and let him work, which is always the talk when it comes to Wiseman. Instead of being a facilitating big man, he probably could be a scoring big man somewhere else. I actually think Detroit might be a good place for him. He's already the starting center. How many times have we been able to say that for Wiseman? We haven't been able to say that this year. Like they're already starting him in the lineup.
It's different standards. It's different standards here at the Warriors as opposed to the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, and you have other guys that you got to focus on, like the Pistons. What? Isaiah Stewart is the guy who's starting in place of him? I don't know. I haven't paid attention too much to the Pistons team. But it's favorable for him. Like he's not going to develop in the G League. All he's going to do is, and I've watched a game with him live against the G League Ignite. James Wiseman was the focal point of the offense, and it was clearly, hey, we're going to give you the ball. You get a chance to showcase your talent so you can prove to them what you got. It's not the fact that he's not talented. It's just totally different when you get up to the Warriors. So maybe in a system where it's not a bunch of guys moving around and you got to set this screen here at the appropriate time. Like, for example, Wiseman would not thrive with the Memphis Grizzlies. Like, the prime responsibility of the big man on the Grizzlies, Steven Adams, is to set screens and rebound and maybe score occasionally. Like, Wiseman wouldn't be able to fit there, but maybe with a place like the Pistons where, you can throw it into the big man and let him work. Yeah, when you don't have that much talent, like all around, I think it could be, maybe he could be good. He could be, but, we won't know until this Gary Payton physical gets passed.
I think the Warriors have to decide today, but I think that in the end, Steve Kerr and the brass will decide that it's just in the best interest of the team to go forward with the trade. And yeah, like I said, I don't know, Patrick Beverley got traded to the Orlando Magic, and now they're going to buy him out. I could pick him up on the Warriors. I don't think that's a bad move.
Be fine, but I don't know.
Well, that's my mentality now with the West. So after Kyrie Irving goes to the Dallas Mavericks, you're like, all right, that's pretty big. Kevin Durant going to the Phoenix Suns changes the whole damn thing. So, like I said, Wednesday night, we got done with the podcast, and then breaking news, Kevin Durant gets what he wants. He gets traded to the Phoenix Suns in exchange for Mikal Bridges. Who else was it? Cam Johnson, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Jay Crowder. And 4 first-round picks for Kevin Durant to go to the Phoenix Suns, and I guess Ty Warren joins him as well, going from Brooklyn to Phoenix. So this was a thing back in July, even June, before the NBA free agency started, where Kevin Durant wanted a trade, and he said that one of the 2 teams he wanted to go to were the Phoenix Suns, the Miami Heat. And now they accommodate this trade, even with the Brooklyn Nets being, I want to say, 5th in the East right now, which is crazy considering all of the bullshit they went through with Kyrie. Now Ben Simmons is the lone guy that was going to be part of this big 3. And if you look back on the whole experiment from Kevin Durant leaving the Warriors, joining Kyrie Irving, getting Steve Nash as their head coach, then trading for James Harden, the whole thing was a failure. Absolute failure. They get 0 championships out of the whole thing. All 3 guys wanted to get traded. They're all off the team. They all got what they wanted in the end, and none of it was good enough for them.
Yeah, it's pretty funny how it's like the big 3 for the Nets when they first signed, like Paul Pierce and Deron Williams and God, I can't remember who the third one was, a part of that team. But that didn't work out when they had all 3 of those guys. You remember that?
Say again, sorry.
When they had Deron Williams, Paul Pierce, and I forgot the other one.
Kevin Garnett came.
And Kevin Garnett. Thank you for the big 3. And then that failed. And then the big 3 for this one fails. And the only guy left is the one who wasn't even brought in because Kevin Durant and Kyrie wanted to play with their friend. No, he was traded to their team because their friend stunk. So in James Harden. So,
by the way,
just massive cluster fook.
I agree. Did you think, though, for a split second on Wednesday night, it did cross my mind where I was like, God, Ben Simmons is left on the Nets. Do the Warriors ask about him?
I was, man, believe it or not, I was in on the Ben Simmons thing whenever the trade was brought up. I thought Ben Simmons was still a damn good player. At least, like, I thought everyone was kind of fooled because of one playoff series. But if you watch him through the rest of the regular season, that dude could guard 1 through 5. He actually wasn't scared to score. But he got like you can't even call it the yips. The yips feels like it's too light to say that he got the yips. He got something much more than that.
Yeah, I agree.
He had like you want to talk about mentality. Like he had like a mental breakdown in terms of his game and just like forgot who he was. And as far as the Kevin Durant trade, like, look, it's great. Maybe it's one that they needed to do because the Suns, it feels like the Suns kind of, if they had the same roster and, when Devin Booker comes back and they had the same roster, maybe they'd be able to make some waves in the Western Conference, but they've been playing in this move since the offseason. Although, like, Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges are some damn good players, man. Like very
Yeah.
good players. And so if any of these starters go down again, like if Devin Booker's gone, or Kevin Durant, if he goes down, there's really no one there to take their spot. I'm very curious to see, like they're very top heavy, the
Well,
Suns
of
now.
course. Yeah, I mean, this is the same situation the Warriors had with getting Kevin Durant, is that it kills your bench. But with that starting five of Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, uh, DeAndre Ayton, Ty Warden,
Mm-hmm.
uh, hands down, that's the best starting lineup in basketball.
For
So I'm
sure.
very interested to see what this looks like. I think if they stay healthy, this catapults them to the top of the West, maybe the top of the whole NBA at this point. Denver Nuggets are very good. Memphis Grizzlies are very good. Once you get Kevin Durant on the Phoenix Suns, I think that's a game changer.
Yeah, it always is. But man, it's just a depth issue. And until I see more, I still think that I need to see more, but I do think the Celtics are the best team in the NBA. I still think the Celtics are. They are the number one team. The Nuggets are turning into the Utah Jazz right now, where it's just they're number one in the regular season. They're always hovering around the top three teams, and then when it comes playoff time, they just break down and can't hang with another team for the 7-game series. I don't know with the Suns, but you know what, man? That's going to be a fun watch.
Yeah.
That Suns team is going to be a lot of fun. And I had a friend text me who said, I just want CP3 to get one. And I'm like, you are the only human being I think I've ever heard who says he wants to see CP3 get a championship.
Oh, dude, that's the entire NBA.
That's true.
Everybody wants Chris Paul to get a championship. I could care less. Never was a big Chris Paul guy. Maybe in New Orleans.
I have not heard a single like NBA fan say they want CP3.
Oh, all the time I hear that.
Really?
Yep. If you're just like a big NBA fan, yeah, people are like, oh man, CP3 needs to get a championship. But like, I don't care.
Really?
He to me, like Warriors with Chris Paul always was a thing. With the Clippers, with the Rockets, not a Chris Paul guy. Not a Chris Paul guy.
I'm not either. He's too. I don't know. He's such a
I'm more of a Cliff Paul guy.
You're more of a Cliff Paul guy.
Yeah, like the mustache.
Yeah, the mustache is good. I don't know, man. Chris Paul's funny. He actually does make me laugh with his mic'd up segments on the court and stuff. But man, just sometimes the way that he acts on the court, it's just so. Hey, I'm the NBA Players Association president. Don't mess with me. I don't know. It's just he has this aura about him that I don't like.
Well, I don't think Chris Paul would, break a monumental record and then go out the next game and have the ceremony be all about themselves.
Right.
What the hell was that about? So they have the ceremony for LeBron James during the game, and then they have to have one before the next game against the Bucks. He doesn't even play in the game.
You know what? I'm going to come back on you on this. Like, you're kind of hating on this, but how often do we see it where, like, the reason we go insane for guys like Bryce Harper when they're doing something like in the World Series, or rather in the championship series, like Bryce Harper did last year with that massive home run to give the Phillies the lead in that last game so they can move on to the World Series. Like, the reason that we go crazy for these guys is because they have just been like scrutinized. They have been basically professionals, at least covered like professionals, since they were 16 years old, 15, 16 years old, where everybody knows about them. Everyone knew who Bryce Harper was. I've known about Bryce Harper since I was 15 because the dude was a year older than me, and I'm watching videos of this guy hitting 400-foot bombs off the roof of Tropicana Field in batting practice for like Team USA, the Futures team. The fact that LeBron has been covered since high school, was touted as the next great, the next Michael Jordan, and he's come through and after 20 seasons has been the all-time leading scorer. Like, I think we could take a game or two to at least celebrate the fact that this man has accomplished something that people thought was unbreakable. So I get that you don't like LeBron too much, and the pomp and circumstance may be too much for you, but take a step back, Derek. Think about it. How often does this truly happen? I think it's something to celebrate. I really do.
Of course it is. But at the same time, I made no qualms about it. I don't like LeBron.
No, you do not.
And I'm not going to just give in because everybody else loves the guy. Listen, second best NBA player of all time. Maybe third to Kobe. No, that's too much.
That's way
But
too much.
I don't know. I just don't like
You just don't like the
ESPN.
guy. It's okay.
No,
It's
I mean
fine.
with the Warriors rivalry and the way he kind of carries himself, I'm not a LeBron guy. Just not. And I think that we're all for like I just didn't like the whole every ESPN pregame NBA show when Kevin Durant was in the conversation, is he the best player in basketball right now? Oh, you can't disrespect the king like that. It's just this whole mentality like, oh, you can't talk down to LeBron. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
So you hate the way that he's covered.
I hate it. Can't stand it.
So you don't think he should be celebrated because of the way that he's covered.
No, I think you could celebrate him, but I think it's just too much of just like you're a fucking idiot if you don't agree with all of us.
So it's not LeBron that you hate. It's just the way that people talk about him.
Well, I don't care for his, you know, when I remember one time with the Lakers, he like tweeted out something like they lost a game. Like there's just things that like it's me before the team.
You know what? I'm
Actually,
I'm not going to sit here and be like there aren't antics that he's done that to not make you. It's not just the people covering him. I will give you that.
and I think he's phony.
But
I like that. No, seriously, I think he's phony. Post game, he's like, "Oh, I'm a big Godfather fan," and some guy's like, "All right, name one line." Oh man, there's so many lines. You know,
that's been the thing, hasn't it? Sorry, I got a donut hole.
nice.
Bad timing. Sorry.
Wish you could share those.
Yeah, well, not a good idea to eat a donut hole on a podcast. That probably sounds gross.
It's better than eating a wing.
But yeah, I know, right? But there's that thing where it's like LeBron says he's a fan of this. Like my favorite was I don't know if you've seen this one where he's being interviewed because he's like a part-time owner of Liverpool, but he's being interviewed by the main TV host whose name is escaping me right now, and the other guy who's the analyst, previous former Liverpool player. His name is Peter Crouch. He's this massive player. He's like 6'7", and he played forward. Now, just to let you know, that's basically like you know, guys like Magic Johnson playing point guard. You know what I mean? Like tall guys playing that position. It doesn't happen. As a matter of fact, it's more like a 7-footer playing point guard. But LeBron was asked, like, hey, LeBron, we have Peter Crouch here, and do you know who he is? Yeah, I watched all his games. It's like it's Peter Crouch. You don't know who that is. He's also one of the most funky looking players ever. He did this robot dance, and he's like lanky, tall, not a very good looking individual. It's a proper British lad. But anyway, I get it, but still, the all-time leading scorer, like numbers don't lie. He may lie about certain things. He may come off as fraudulent, but numbers don't lie. Being the all-time leading scorer in the NBA, like that's something you got to celebrate.
Of course. But also, you ask Anthony Davis, and they were like, "How come you weren't so happy when LeBron got the scoring championship, or it was the all-time leading scorer?" Well, we were losing the game.
Well, there's that.
Thank you, Anthony Davis.
Well, there's that. I don't know, man. If I became the all-time leading scorer of the NBA, I wouldn't care. I would not.
I didn't like the whole thing. Didn't like it. And I'm entitled not to like it. Don't have to give into this LeBron nonsense, America.
Just
Anyway.
respect it at least.
I respect it. But also, I think Jordan was better. I like that. Huh? Gonna kill me over that?
You were like 5 years old when Jordan retired. Easy.
Think he's better. You can still have an opinion.
You can still have an opinion on it, but
take Montana over Brady. I like that one too, huh?
You didn't watch Montana.
I've seen the highlights, Steven.
Oh, the highlights.
Nothing wrong with that. You go back and watch highlights.
Highlights give you the full story.
I think if you watch enough Super Bowls, yeah, you can watch old Super Bowls and see how he performed in those games.
Yeah. I don't know. LeBron's just such a physical specimen. He's just out of this world. I don't know. Something different about him. It's just wild. It's wild that he's gotten to this point now after 20 plus seasons.
Well, can't wait for when he retires. Anyway, Super
You're not
Bowl.
gonna. Well, I mean, that's the thing. You're not gonna have to celebrate him any longer unless he, gets to the finals and it's really gonna be LeBron. You're gonna hate that, but
He ain't getting to the finals this year.
but this is probably gonna be the last thing they'll celebrate, other than his retirement. Oh, I can't wait for his retirement. Can you imagine his retirement season, Derek, when he announces before the year that he's going to retire? And
he'll definitely announce that before the season.
And he gets
because he wants a goodbye tour.
And he gets Derek Jeter treatment, where everyone's giving him a gift before each game.
Yeah, wow. When he goes to Chase Center, everybody should just teabag him.
Wow. Everyone just wears like a fake cast on their wrist.
Yeah, that shit too. As soon as he loses the finals, oh yeah, I was playing with a broken hand.
Yeah, because he punched a whiteboard.
I was compromised. Speaking of which, before we get to the Super Bowl, let me get this off my chest. 49ers.
You seem very angry about a lot of things in sport. I've realized that. But you're back in sports radio now that you're like hearing the talk about like everything going on. There's a lot of things that piss you off.
There's a lot of bullshit.
It's so funny.
Well, I would be this way even if I wasn't even back at sports radio.
Well, I mean, yeah, but when you're outside of a Bay Area bubble, you don't hear so much of the talk anymore. Then you're just
no. I mean, if I was in LA still, I hear all the LeBron stuff, and that would annoy the crap out of me.
Yeah, I miss it when the days when you were just pissed off at Los Angeles people just for being Los Angeles people.
Well, I still am. But yeah, like I could imagine now, like if I was still working at NFL Network the next day, everybody's like, LeBron's the GOAT, baby. Fuck out of here.
I can't wait for LeBron's retirement season now. For that. Not because I'm waiting for him to retire.
It's gonna be so annoying. Gonna be so annoying.
Oh, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna send you everything.
49ers players complaining and saying all this stuff about the Eagles. Like Brandon Ayuk saying, "Oh, we would have exposed them. Are they going to expose by the Chiefs? We don't think much of their defense." Deebo Samuel saying if Brock Purdy didn't get hurt, they would have beat him by more than 2 touchdowns. Even Robbie Gould saying that if you treat Jalen Hurts like a normal quarterback, that your defense is going to have a great day. And then Jimmy Ward saying that he's going to get payback for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. You guys lost. You lost. I'm tired of these excuses with the 49ers. Oh, if Trent Williams was healthy in that NFC Championship game. Oh, if Patrick Mahomes didn't come back on us. It happened. It happened. Well, the same thing with the Warriors and losing that 3-1 lead to the Cavaliers. It happened. Stop bitching.
Yeah. It's the way that they're wording it. Like, I don't have a problem with players thinking, like it's, of course, like I don't have a problem with players thinking like fans in that way. Cause a lot of fans probably feel that way, where it's like, if our quarterback went down, we would have won that game. That's okay for fans to think that. That's fine. I don't necessarily agree with it. But players need to be a little more professional on that side of things. And like the way they're wording it right now, they're clearly, I don't mind them being pissed off about the loss. Like, of course, like you went in there as one of the best teams in the NFC, and it wasn't a fair shake. But to bring like the Eagles into it, and just basically say like the Eagles don't deserve to be in the Super Bowl. I don't know. I just think that's it's a little out of bounds. And Robbie Gould just straight up saying like, if you make Jalen Hurts play quarterback, it's going to be a tough time for your defense. Well, that's
an easy time for your defense.
What is he, like what is he, an Instagram commenter? Like that's something.
It was for that 33rd team thing, whatever.
That's what you'd read in an Instagram comment, like that's what you'd read. And then you'd read a whole bunch of fans chirping back and forth at each other. I don't know. I didn't like it. And I don't think a lot of Niner fans liked it either. It's just,
well, no, a lot of Niner fans agree. But I would, that's part of the game? Like Brandon Graham had the best response. It's part of the game. It's part of the game. Injuries happen. You got to then the next man up. Like the Eagles won their Super Bowl with a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, is it ridiculous for me to say like I was watching the Baltimore Ravens 30 for 30? If Rich Gannon doesn't get totally just engulfed by Tony Saragusa? Did they win that AFC Championship game? I don't know, but it happened. It's not.
Yeah.
It's ugh.
Yeah.
Excuses.
Yeah. There's a lot of it. Although, like, the only thing they could be frustrated about is maybe the fact that the third quarterback rule isn't in place,
Yeah,
but it's also been 12 years since it's been in place. Like, this type of thing hasn't happened in 12 years where you're down for your third. It's like it's super rare what went on for the Niners this season out. And I don't know if they realize that. So to be mad at the third quarterback rule not being in place, well, it hasn't happened for the last 12 years. So in that time, they're like, well, what's the point of having a third quarterback then? Like, why would you do that? I don't even understand the point of it. Actually, it makes you, or not the point of the rule, the point of eliminating it, because it just, you keep another quarterback on your roster. Like, what harm does that really do? But especially if it doesn't count against the roster limit, like, I can understand all that, but really when you call out the Eagles, though, like, that's where I have the issue there. You know?
I agree. I think that the Eagles have proven that they are more than deserving of being in the Super Bowl. Um, like Debo Samuel bringing up like the penalties because the defense was those defensive penalties were warranted, with the exception of maybe the Jimmy Ward pass interference call. But yes, for the most part, those defensive penalties were warranted. There's nothing crazy about the amount of penalties. The Eagles were getting. Sorry, I'm saying both teams wrong. The 49ers were getting frustrated because they couldn't do much on offense.
It's the conviction with which it's like with what they're saying. There's such like a finality to it. It's like, oh well, if Brock Purdy were healthy, we would have won the game.
I'm not so sure about that.
Well, if Brock Purdy were healthy, you're saying that the defensive line wouldn't have got to him at all, like they did on the 6th play of the game. Like, are you really going to be trashing the like, regardless of, Josh Johnson and him fumbling the snap? That wasn't on anybody besides the quarterback. That was just straight up on him. But the offensive line got broken down in the middle of that game. And it's the same type of thing that happened in the NFC Championship against the Rams last year. So if whoever they're talking to would, make the, like, if they were objectively speaking to someone who was like, I love Brad, the guy who's doing the 49ers podcast, but Brandon Ike's talking to him, and Brad's like, after all, a 49er fan, and like, he's not going to push back on what he's saying. Well, the Eagles would have won. Like, no, but if he was talking on like a different podcast, like, I'm sure, there would have been some pushback with what he was saying. Like, if he was on I don't know, if he was on like the I Am Athlete podcast or something like that, if he was on a different one, then maybe there would have been some pushback. But like Debo, he's speaking on, Radio Row. Like, those guys aren't just going to argue with
Adam
his
Shine.
What?
Dear God. Did you hear that quote?
No.
It's Debo Samuel like saying like, yeah, if we had Brock Purdy, we would have won by 2 touchdowns. And then you hear Adam Shine go, dear God.
Like, it's fine, but just to bring the Eagles into it, I think that's just a total disrespect to them. And you know what? Like, if they're needed to, I don't know, I believe this more and more year after year, but like, adding fuel to a team to give them any extra motivation. Like, right now, the Eagles, they may be betting favorites, but with the way that, people are talking about them, they may be thinking they're the underdogs, and they're going to be going into this thinking they're the underdogs. Like,
it's been an easy road for them to the Super Bowl.
What was it? The Eagle, like, what Jason Kelsey said with the Rocky statue, like, I told you there wasn't really much as far as fuel between both teams, as opposed to like the Bengals and the Chiefs, because you had the whole Burrowhead thing and all of that. Well, once they put that 49ers shirt on the Rocky statue, like, that's the type of thing, man. And now they're just giving more fuel to the Eagles to possibly try and win this game. I don't know. Players believe it. Like, they say it themselves. Like, they look for outside narratives to push them, even make things up. And now, do they not think, like, okay, you got your point out, you think you would have won the game, do you not think you're giving that team a little extra motivation to go out there and beat the Chiefs?
And also, let me say this. if the Eagles win the Super Bowl and the Niners are their week 1 opening night matchup and the Niners beat them with Brock Purdy, that doesn't justify the NFC Championship game or even the amount of times the Niners have beaten the Rams since the NFC Championship game. In the end, you lost. So, with all the Niner players talking this week and even the play by play guy, you just guys keep talking and talking and talking about all these excuses. You lost.
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe Brandon Ayuk was joking around. Like that's also what he mentioned on Brad's podcast too. He and that's and I'll just say this. That is freaking seeing what Brad's doing. I'm a big fan of Brad. So seeing what
Who's Brad Graham? Who?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a great dude, and just seeing the fact that he like kind of just started this social media page for the 49ers because he's a huge football fan and he knows what he's talking about, and then to see him like being able to interview players like Brandon Ayuk, that's freaking awesome. And Brandon Ayuk may have been joking around, like maybe he was just BSing and he was just feeling.
He also
like
said he put all his money on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and it's just like, but at the same time, when you're a professional athlete, there's not much room for, joking around too much about something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Have
you seen this? I'm sorry. This just popped up into my head. But have you seen this stuff with like Micah Parsons? This dude is, you know what? I'm going to pull it up. You continue with what your point is. Anyway,
what did
well, it's just the way that he's been talking ever since the NFL honors. He's a very open book.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say that the only response I cared for this week was the only honest one I thought was Christian McCaffrey saying, "I just want both teams to lose. I'm not even going to watch the Super Bowl." Like that's the mentality. That's fine with me.
That's totally fine.
He's not diminishing what the Eagles did in that NFC Championship game. I will say the best soundbite I've heard from this week is I've always thought Christian McCaffrey was kind of like a, great player, but kind of not going to be a guy that uses foul language. And I don't know if you saw the clip where he went on some fantasy live show with I think Yahoo Fantasy, and he read some like mean tweet where it was like, "Man, my fantasy team has sucked since I got Christian McCaffrey on it." And then he goes, "Man, fuck your fantasy team." I was like, "Damn, nicely done, Christian."
Well, he seems to be a very more serious individual, which is fine. Like it's funny. There was a thought in my mind when he first got signed to the team. This is just quick. This is me totally being judgmental and just seeing one little thing. But it was George Kittle mic'd up, and he was mic'd up for the first game where McCaffrey was on the team. And just the way that he was, it did not look like Christian McCaffrey was amused by the things that George Kittle was saying. I was like, is this gonna go okay? Like, he does not look like he's wants to joke around right now, as opposed to Kittle, who likes to keep things loose. And then you go on to find out that Kittle and McCaffrey are actually good friends, and they have been for a while. And it just so happens that's McCaffrey's mentality when he's on the football field. He's not much of a jokester, which is fine. I don't blame him for that.
Should probably have told him not to sing during the NFL honors either.
Did that happen? Did
you see George Kittle sing?
Oh, yes, I did. What?
That whole ceremony is cringe.
I don't watch it. I didn't watch it.
I started to watch it. God. Steph Curry, great basketball player. Not a great award show host, but way better than Kelly Clarkson, I'll say.
I didn't see any of that.
Really bad. But yeah, just to acknowledge that thing. Nick Bosa wins Defensive Player of the Year, more than deserving. Mahomes wins MVP, but if you look at the history of MVPs and Super Bowls, the last guy to win the Super Bowl and MVP in the same season, do you know, Steven?
Win Super Bowl and the MVP in the same season? Aaron Rodgers?
Nope. He's got a movie.
Tom Brady?
Nope.
Who?
Really bad movie that I watched on an airplane.
That you watched on an airplane?
Uh-huh.
Oh, Kurt Warner?
Yep. The last guy to win regular season MVP and Super Bowl and a Super Bowl in the same season, 1999, Kurt Warner. So if you're judging by that, not good news for Patrick Mahomes. But other awards, Justin Jefferson wins Offensive Player of the Year. Thought he deserved that. Rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year. Brock Purdy, great in the 6 games he played, but Garrett Wilson, way more deserving of it, I believe. Sauce Gardner wins defensive rookie of the year, so 2 Jets rookies win their respected awards. And then Brian Dable wins coach of the year, Kyle Shanahan coming in second. So I thought everybody got their right award and everything.
Yeah. What'd you think about the coach of the year one? Did you think Brian Dable deserved it?
Yes, as a guy that looks like him, yes. Beat you to the punch.
I thought so too. I heard an interesting point though. And this was from a guy who's a fan of the 49ers. He thought that Nick Sirianni should have won. He didn't even think Shanahan should have. He thought Sirianni should have won. And his reason for Dayball not winning coach of the year is because of his decision to rest his players in week 18.
No.
He looks at it from a very much a fan perspective. He says that he shouldn't have sat his players. He should have kept the momentum riding and then gone into that next week against the Eagles. They would have had a much better chance. And then look at them. But I'm like, they beat the Vikings the week after. They crushed them. Like,
yeah, that makes zero sense.
I didn't get he was very convincing in his argument, but then I was just taking a step back and I'm like, I didn't get it.
Well, what's convincing about any of that? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. It's more so because it gave the Eagles an easy chance to get the number 1 seed, and then So
I would say my argument is that Brian Dable took a roster that didn't make a lot of upgrades in the offseason, and the Giants were bad for a long time, and then turned them into a playoff team this year.
That's what I'm saying is he like, look at the wide receivers that he has. You couldn't name any of them going into that divisional round game.
Meanwhile,
game, excuse me.
Nick Sirianni, I think a good head coach. I don't know what the deal is with people saying that he's just, a rah-rah guy and doesn't do anything.
Well, that's Chiefs players, isn't it?
No, that's was a Julian Love on the Giants saying
excuse me. Sorry. Yeah. Julian Love.
Julian Love, great name.
Never heard of him.
Buddy Love. Nutty Professor.
Yeah.
Nick Sirianni has a lot of talent on his team. So the same way that I don't think Sean McVay would win Coach of the Year because he's got a lot of talent on the Rams in the past, or he did win Coach of the Year actually, but that was his first year in the NFL. I don't think Nick Sirianni, like Kyle Shanahan, a lot of talent on the team, but to deal with all the quarterback drama, I think was deserving as well. Pete Carroll, I thought should have got more votes. But yeah, I think Brian Dable was more than deserving of that award.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, Super Bowl. Let's finally get to this thing.
Ugh.
So, what is the biggest thing you're looking forward to in the Super Bowl, Steven? Anything with the game itself, or even the halftime show, commercials?
Oh, well, commercials are low on the list. Halftime show, I'm looking forward to.
It's kind of a downgrade though from last year.
A little bit. Well, in your eyes,
a lot of bit.
I mean, come on, man. What, you want a aging Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and
that was fun. Come on.
It was great.
Exactly.
No, it is a little bit of a downgrade, I guess. Not so much looking forward to that. I mean, I'm not going to be, hey. She's ripping up our mail, dude. Well, I guess it's our fault, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe I got to take a step back and think this is our fault because we are the ones who are leaving paper on the table. Got her.
But also the cat needs to know its place.
Yes, exactly. Get off the table. Got her. It's just an easy little spray bottle. It's nothing too major. See? Can't even see it. What was that? Just the quarterback matchup. Like Mahomes is. I love watching Mahomes in a big game, and Jalen Hurts. I'm really curious to see how he looks. Like how his shoulder looks. I think a low-key Super Bowl MVP candidate, maybe this is jumping the gun here, but I think A.J. Brown is a low-key Super Bowl MVP candidate. I think this dude can go off in this game. It'd just be, as much as I don't want it to happen, because I'm just naturally I'm a Raiders fan growing up, so I don't like the Chiefs, and I don't like watching them win the Super Bowl. But I respect the hell out of the fact that they traded away Tyreek Hill and are somehow back in the Super Bowl with
Yep.
like with no true
Juju.
yeah, like Juju and what Christian Watson, I guess is the name of that guy.
Yeah, he's low on the thing, but yeah,
But it's
I would
just
Kadarius Toney,
Kadarius Toney's sick.
Marquez
Actually,
Valdez Scantling.
I'm looking forward to. I like watching Kadarius Toney a lot. I think he's sick.
But the true number one is Travis Kelce.
Yeah, and so but doing it without one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and you're back right there in the Super Bowl picture. I mean, if they go on to win, that's just it'd be unbelievable. What about you?
I would say, as far as matchups, the thing that I'm looking forward to is Jason Kelsey versus Chris Jones on the offensive and defensive line matchup.
Mm,
And I would say that,
trenches guy.
it's me and Baldy are cut from the same cloth.
Yeah. You're gonna be filming film with your phone.
But I'm also interested in how the two quarterbacks are going to be health wise. Excuse me.
Ew.
I think that the 2 weeks off benefits both of them, but I don't think that the way that the Eagles have played in the past is going to help them in this game as far as their playoff games. I think Jalen Hurts throwing for minimal yardage and not, kind of being hesitant in the running game, I don't think is going to help them in this game. I think they need to look like the team that they were in the regular season. And I'm with you, Steven. I think A.J. Brown needs to have a big game. I think he's been held to less than 40 yards in both of the playoff games. So he needs to go off. I think that this is probably the best matchup for him to do that, just because I think while the Chiefs are getting L'Jarius Sneed back, I think they have a very inexperienced secondary. They have a lot of rookies in that secondary with O.J. McDuffie, or sorry, not O.J. McDuffie. I'm thinking the old Dolphins receiver, Trent McDuffie, and Jalen Watson. So I think that the Eagles receivers will benefit from the matchup with the Chiefs secondary. But it's going to be not to go full on Baldy, but I do believe that the trenches matchup is going to be very interesting.
Hey, Ernie, I'm not making fun of Baldy for that, but that is what he does. It'd be funny to picture Derek like after the game just trying to break down trench play with his while taking a video of the film with his phone.
I may do that.
The whole thing in the background. Easy. I'm never going to take a shot at Baldy's the best.
Baldy's great. Between the Eagles' offensive line and defensive lines, I think that they have the upper hand against both the Chiefs' offensive line and defensive lines. So basically, I think this matchup is that the Eagles on paper are the better team as far as talent. But of course, the Chiefs have the most talented player in all of football. So just a matter of what's going to give. Is Jalen Hurts going to be the guy that we saw in the regular season? Or is Patrick Mahomes going to be the guy that we've always seen? Patrick Mahomes, the only time he hasn't played well, I would say, is probably Super Bowls. Even the Super Bowl he won against the Niners, he threw 2 picks in that game, and they very well could have lost that game. But, the Jet Wasp play helped him out. And then it wasn't really his fault, but did not play well against the Bucs. He was constantly getting rushed that whole entire game. So it's going to be interesting to see if this Eagles defensive line gives problems for Patrick Mahomes with that injured ankle.
Yeah, and this other one too, as far as position groups go, like I go back to the wide receivers, but the Chiefs secondary has been very good, kind of underrated. I don't know, with all things considered, all these guys, L'Jarius Sneed and McDuffie, and then I think Juan Thornhill's his name. And who's the other safety? I'm forgetting. Is it Justin Reed? I think it's Justin Reed. Yeah.
Safety,
yeah. They got like their secondary is solid. So that's going to be a fun matchup to watch too. But also, does the Andy Reid bye-week magic? That's a thing where it's like if he's given this amount of time to prepare, his record is outstanding. But it seems like the only time that his record from that standpoint stinks is when it comes to these big games. Like the only he doesn't lose in the regular season during these bye weeks. It's mostly during these playoff times in the Super Bowl. So I want to see if there's another loss that happens with that. I think very curious to see what Andy Reid does. Very curious. Hang on one second. I got to close the cabinet. Cat's trying to get food from.
No, all good.
This is unbelievable. Continue on with your point.
Take care of your cat. Yeah, Andy Reid, I think in the conference championship game is 3-5, and in Super Bowls he is 1-2. Yeah. So, and also this whole Andy Reid versus the Eagles thing. I don't really think that in years past when we've had former coaches go up against their former teams, like John Gruden versus the Raiders or Ken Wisenhunt versus the Steelers, they knew those specific teams. As far as Andy Reid with these Eagles, it's not his Eagles team. It's totally different. He was there more than 10 years ago. He drafted a lot of these guys on the offensive line. Like he knows Jason Kelsey, he knows Lane Johnson, but that's about it. Brandon Graham, he drafted, I believe, too, Fletcher Cox. But everywhere else, this is just a totally different team to him. Um, so yeah, I think that the whole Andy Reid versus the Eagles thing, it's just interesting in the sense that he used to coach that team, but it's not anything that he's familiar with.
Right. It's been a while. It's been a very long time.
It's been a while.
It's been a while since Reid coached the Eagles. Yeah,
Stained.
that one doesn't. It intrigues me a little bit, but in the end, it's just him coaching against a former team. I mean, there's a little bit of intrigue there. I don't really think there's like the outside storylines, like the whole Travis Kelsey and Jason Kelsey thing. It's great that they're like the first brothers to be playing in a Super Bowl. And, when you really like, they broke down the percentage of that, the percentage of players that actually make it to the NFL, then the percentage of players that make it to the Super Bowl, and the fact that they're brothers. Like this is
that should be celebrated way more than LeBron.
Well, not really, but it's total rarity. But the coaching thing doesn't really get me either. Like the fact that Nick Sirianni was once a coach on the Chiefs, cool.
By the way, did you see him saying, yeah, I give thanks to Andy Reid for firing me? Otherwise, I wouldn't be in this opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, there's something there, but in the end, like when it comes down to it, unless it's like a quarterback going up against a defender, like, I don't know. Like I thought, like for example, back in 2012 when the Niners and Ravens were in the Super Bowl, I thought like Colin Kaepernick going up against a defense that included Ray Lewis. I was like, damn, that's going to be something to watch out for. We don't necessarily have that. I guess the Eagles defensive line, but there's no like, besides Hassan Reddick, there's no like one player on the Eagles where you look at and you're like, man, I can't wait to see what he does against Patrick Mahomes. Like I don't know.
I would say the whole defensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, Hassan Reddick, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be all the way around with just the Eagles defense in general. And let me say this. I think that, it's been amazing what Patrick Mahomes has accomplished this season without Tyreek Hill. Juju Smith-Schuster's a fine wide receiver. Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Mecole Hardman's not going to play. Travis Kelsey. I think the only advantage they have is Travis Kelsey because comparing the Eagles secondary to this Chiefs wide receiver core, I like the Eagles a hell of a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be fascinating.
Yeah.
And yeah, with the Kelsey brothers, I think it's just been good podcast material for them, having their mom, get some publicity. But as far as a matchup, it has no bearing on the game.
Right. Not at all. And for the Chiefs, what does Jerick McKinnon do? Does Jerick McKinnon continue this thing into the Super Bowl? He's been like their secret weapon almost, but not so secret weapon, I guess, since the beginning of December. Like, what does he do in this game? I think it's going to be a really close matchup. I'm looking forward to this one, man. It's going to be like I remember thinking with the Rams and the Patriots, like I was looking forward to it, but I also figured like I remember thinking Bill Belichick against a guy like Jared Goff. I don't know. I could see this not panning out too great for the Rams right now. I remember thinking that before that Super Bowl, and then what do you know? It's one of the worst Super Bowls of all time. But this one I'm like legitimately looking forward to.
Yeah, like it was hard for me to envision Jared Goff doing something against the New England Patriots defense.
Right.
This one, the storyline, I'm like, I can't, this is where I'm glad the game is finally going to be played. I feel like The Rock from last year's Super Bowl, finally, the Super Bowl.
Right.
Because this whole week, I've been at the gym and I see the taglines on ESPN, just the Dan Orlovsky, this Eagles team could be a dynasty. What is this? If a loss, what does it mean for Patrick Mahomes' legacy? It just means he lost the Super Bowl. It doesn't take anything away from Patrick Mahomes being a great quarterback.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that I'm not gonna give them my pick or anything, but I think the Eagles just have the better team overall. But Patrick Mahomes, we've seen it before, where just the quarterback carries the team. Not to say that the Eagles are the Chiefs are a bad team by any means. I just think that you look at the matchups on paper, I think the Eagles have way more talent.
Mm.
Um, so it's gonna be interesting. Do you have any prop bets that you like for the Super Bowl?
Let me think. Well, there's there's a there's a
Always the
well,
Gatorade is interesting. What the color will be.
the color of the Gatorade's always there. I'm looking up the favorites right now. It looks like blue is the favorite.
Was blue? Blue was last year for the Rams. I always
Yes.
I always like to think that it's going to be the color of the team, but then again,
Yeah.
that's not always the case.
Um Blue or like it depends on who wins. Like if the Chiefs win, I'm
Hey,
going orange. If the
maybe
Eagles win, I'm going lime green yellow.
maybe they go differently because Nick Sirianni's a big pizza guy. Maybe they just throw a pizza on him.
Yeah, what is this, Breaking Bad? No, he's not going to just get a pizza thrown on him.
I would do that.
You would do that?
Just a steaming hot pie, just throw it on him.
That'd be
Although for you it would be Rob Manfred and acid in his face.
No, come on.
Forgot about that one.
One time. Um will any player propose to his girlfriend?
I saw that with Valentine's Day coming up, and I saw
Mhm.
Patrick Mahomes thing where he's like, "Oh, I didn't know what day it was." Oh,
Let's see. Yeah, the Drake curse. Will the Drake curse still live on? Drake put on a massive bet with the Chiefs, and so I'm assuming that he's going to be donning the red and yellow. And the bet is, which team apparel will Drake be wearing on Super Bowl Sunday? Chiefs, Eagles, and then will the Drake curse live on? Yes or no? And then so basically you're trying to say that the Eagles are going to win. So there's that. So you're basically betting Eagles money line with that one. Uh, what
God,
what
I care so much for Drake.
what what was another one?
I
I'm
got
trying
one
to.
for you.
Okay. Give me one.
You ever heard of the octopus?
No, what is that?
It's where a player scores a touchdown and also gets the 2-point conversion uh, coming after that touchdown. So it'll be a total of 8 on the
Mm,
play.
could see that happening for Kelsey.
So the betting for the octopus is yes 1,400, no 5,000.
Ooh, yeah,
So
I can go. I can go.
I would go Jalen Hurts on that one.
Mm,
Rushing
you think so?
touchdown, and then I mean we're gonna see it a lot. I don't know how much Andy Reid's gonna go for it or go for 2, but we know Nick Sirianni likes to a lot, especially like if there's gonna be just people that don't watch the Eagles and Chiefs that much, especially the Eagles. Be prepared tomorrow if there's a 4th and 3 that Nick Sirianni's gonna line his guys up and just to have them on the field, and if there's a offsides, they get the first down. Even on 2-point conversions, if there is a penalty happening on the touchdown that the Eagles score, more than likely Nick Sirianni's going to go for 2 because he has the penalty to help him out there. So I say there's a good chance of that happening. I can see Jalen Hurts. The Eagles love running that QB sneak with the Bush push.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see him scoring a touchdown and then easily getting a 2-point conversion, conceding after that.
Interesting. Yeah, I could see that. I see Travis Kelsey being one of the number one guys there.
All right.
Um,
Well, do you have any
about?
more prospects?
Yeah. What's the first song that Rihanna's going to perform, Derek? I know you're a big Rihanna guy. I don't know if this is true. Stay is at plus 350. No, you can't open the Super Bowl halftime show with Stay.
Isn't that also a duet?
Yeah, but Stay? Come on. Don't stop the music. Please don't stop the music.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one.
Yeah, don't stop the music is a
And then
betting
and
favorite.
then she'll close it out with Umbrella.
Yeah.
Hey.
What's my name is on there. Shine bright like a diamond. Diamonds is on there. Better have my money. I better have my money is a good one. Ooh,
say the whole name of the song.
No, I'm not gonna. Well, bitch, better have my money.
There you go.
Bitch, better have my honey. And then Workaholics, who was wearing a bear costume. And then what was the one? Oh, we found love in a hopeless place.
Yeah.
We found. Yep.
I got to be honest. I may zone out during the halftime show.
Wait, you don't like Rihanna?
Not a big Rihanna guy.
Oh, all right. Fair enough.
After last year, yeah.
Her
Could have
hair
been
kind of
better.
looks like out of Whoville in the promotion.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Strange hair. I don't get that, but whatever. I'm no one to talk about fashion.
No, you're not. I'm checking any other prop bets that I like. Actually, Brent Musburger came on with us Thursday and told us to stay away from the national anthem thing. What else did he like? He's
Stay
kind of
away from it.
yeah. He wasn't a fan of betting national anthems.
Oh, okay. Ooh, how many hot dogs will be sold?
Well, how are we gonna know that?
17,000 or under or over 17,000?
So when you find out in a week when they run up all the totals on the hot dogs,
I suppose so.
I don't know if I'm digging that prop bet.
What? 17,000 hot dogs? I don't People are kind of over hot dogs, aren't they? Like hot dogs are kind of like a aren't they like a
People are over hot dogs? Since when?
yeah, at a game. It's just so it's like an old trend.
Maybe you are.
It's an old trend. Who goes to the game and gets a hot dog anymore? There's much more sophisticated things than a hot dog. Like I'm gonna get a bratwurst, okay? I'm not gonna get a hot dog. If I have an option to, well, I'll get a hot dog every now and then. So maybe I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
what the hell are you talking about? At a baseball game, you gotta get a hot dog or
Yeah, I guess.
glizzy, as the kids say these days.
Yeah, a glizzy. I mean, you got the coin toss and stuff. I don't
I think the octopus one's the best bet.
know. Ooh, will any player be ejected for throwing a punch or fighting?
That would be incredibly dumb. So I'm gonna say no.
No is the betting favorite heavily, so you have to pay $1,800 in order to win $100.
If anyone were to do that, trying to think of anybody that would get fiery like that.
I don't know. Maybe it would be someone on like the Chiefs offensive line if Brandon Graham gets under their skin.
C.J. Gardner Johnson.
Ah, yes.
He threw a lot of punches back in the day with the Saints.
That's
But that would be incredibly dumb if he did that in the Super Bowl.
correct.
All right. Should we pick this game?
Yeah, let's pick it.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
So, and by the way, just no bearing on this game for wins and wangs this whole season. You beat me. You did a hell of a lot of better at picking the spreads and over-unders and everything. So I leave it up to you, Steven. What do you want me to do next time we do this podcast?
I want you to do the coffee with the mayo.
Seriously?
The fact that you are like disgusted by it makes me want you to do it even more. You don't like coffee? You probably don't like
I
mayo?
don't even know where to get coffee. Starbucks, obviously, but like I don't even know what to order.
Just a regular coffee.
Man, I gotta get mayonnaise.
Just don't be like in role models. Let me get one large coffee. You mean a venti? I mean
No, that's exactly how I would be. I love that scene because it is spot on with coffee culture. And also, the Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry David's like, just give me a bullshit drink.
Yeah, give me one of those vanilla bullshit things.
Yeah.
Don't you dare get that. It has to be black coffee, mayo.
Fine. All right. You happy, Ernie?
You got to do it.
You brought this, so yeah, I'll do the Will Levis. God.
Yeah.
See if I can do that next Wednesday. That's a lot of planning of getting mayonnaise and coffee in one day.
Do you not have mayonnaise in store?
At my house, no.
Oh, why not? You don't use mayonnaise?
I don't usually make sandwiches. I'm usually eating lunch at work.
What about wraps? You don't make wraps?
No, I don't make any wraps.
Why not?
Usually just buying shit at Safeway.
Buy wraps, dude. Get one of the wrap things and get the ingredients for a wrap. I've been into wraps lately, man. I'm done eating sandwiches for now. You need a lot of bread, so I'm like, I don't need to get any more bread. I try to get healthy with bread, and then like turns out there's not really much of an option to have healthy bread. So I get the wraps now, the spinach wraps. You know.
All right.
Yeah.
I usually get those at Safeway. The chicken Caesar wraps, not bad.
Yeah. Well, get your own ingredients and make it yourself.
I will. I'll get some mayonnaise and I'll get some coffee and I'll do that next Wednesday. That's gonna be fucking terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, all right. For this game, we got the Chiefs and the Eagles, and the over/under is 51, and the Eagles are the betting favorites at 1.5. Steven, give me a team, a over/under, the spread, your score, and your MVP for the Super Bowl.
Ooh, okay. I am going to go over.
Well, that's
That's
the
number
easiest one.
one.
Yes.
I'm going to go over. I'm going to take the Chiefs or the Eagles to win, excuse me, but I'm going to take the Chiefs to cover. I think it's going to be a 1-point game.
That's
And
insane, but all right.
And I think the Eagles win 28-27.
Damn. Because they go for 2, right?
I've thought this through heavily.
Yeah.
28-27. Book it.
So do you think if there's a situation where they could win the game with a 2-point conversion, they'll take it?
I think there's a situation in the game where they could possibly be going for their 4th touchdown and they need to make the extra point.
All right.
And I think Harrison Butker misses one.
Oh, I got you. Okay. And who is your MVP?
Ooh, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, he's got that big game for them to win. All right, I like it, Steven. I like it.
1-point game, I'm telling you.
I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles to win the game. And I don't think that this will have any bearing on Patrick Mahomes and his legacy. I think he'll just be fine. He just loses another Super Bowl. He's got a whole big career ahead of him, and he'll be fine. Anyway, I think legacy. I think that Vivian. I think I'm gonna. I say top to bottom, the Eagles have the better roster, and I could be totally wrong about this, but I just think that every matchup I see on paper, besides the quarterbacks, I like the Eagles. So I'm gonna take them to win. I'm gonna lay the points. 1.5 is too close for me. I'm gonna definitely go over. 51 is just too low, especially in a dome-controlled Super Bowl. And I'm going to go with the Eagles winning this game 34-27.
Woo!
And yeah, I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts as your most valuable player.
Interesting. All right.
Then he gets a big old contract. That's the rumor, is that he'll get in the neighborhood of, I was reading, $50 million a year. That seems a little excessive, but
Yeah, it's a little bit much.
Yeah, but he'll probably get a big time contract, and then the Eagles have to figure out what they want to do this offseason because they have a lot of free agents. Maybe a lot of guys retiring. Maybe Jason Kelsey or Fletcher Cox. This could be the last hurrah for them. Before we get out of here, nothing new with Derek Carr since the last time we spoke. He has been talking with the Saints for the last 2 days. I don't know if he continued that conversation yesterday, but they've been talking for quite some time, and it looks as if the Raiders and Saints have agreed on the most part for compensation. It's just a matter of Derek Carr agreeing to the trade.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. The deadline for this is next Wednesday, actually. So if there's anything new, we will bring it to you. But as of right now, it's Derek Carr waiting to see what happens with him next week. Do you think that he is going to get traded?
Yeah.
There is a small chance that he just wants to screw over the Raiders and decides to just not agree to any trade, so that way they could just release him.
There is a chance of that too. There's a very high chance of that, and it seems like he's going to hold a grudge against them for a long time, whether he wants to say it or not. Like, he's clearly holding some sort of grudge. So I think he's going to get traded, but yeah, I mean, like, there's a real chance that he just says, nope, bye-bye, gone.
Yeah, and it would benefit, I guess, him in the sense that I would assume the Saints, the talking point right now is, can you take a pay cut with us? Because the $40 million is a lot, especially with all they're dealing with. I wouldn't be surprised if Alvin Kamara, looks good on paper with Derek Carr and all these guys, but if they want to fit Derek Carr in the cap and everything, they may have to trade Alvin Kamara.
Yeah. That's it. But yeah, like we said on the last pod, it's the $60 million over the cap thing that I just have a struggle understanding. Like, this is where I don't understand the cap. Like, it seems very self-explanatory. All right, there's an available amount of money. You can go and spend this money. This player is probably going to make this much this year. Okay, that's how much it's going to cost against the cap. And then it's like, all right, let's find another team that's going to be a suitor for Derek Carr when he's going to be paid $40 million a year for the next 2 years. Then the team with $60 million under the cap. Yikes.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I'm assuming we'll get more information maybe Monday or Tuesday. But we'll be back next week, and we will react to the Super Bowl and get to the latest, whatever happens with Derek Carr. Next Wednesday, we'll know officially if he's on the team or not, so probably be back then. Yes, Steven?
Can I say something? My one of my favorite players, slowly becoming my favorite players, personalities, people, and figures in sports is Micah Parsons.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you were bringing this up.
Micah Parsons is very open, and this is refreshing. This dude doesn't have any shame. You know what I mean? Like, words get taken out of context, he immediately responds. He is not willing to speak he's willing to speak his mind, and he still shows like respect for like the old guard. You know what I mean? He's like the opposite of Kayvon Thibodeau, where it's like you're acting like you don't know who Joe.
Bro,
Staley
I don't
is.
know you. Yes, you do.
Yeah, you do.
You know who Joe Staley is.
But you know, it's like Aaron Donald saying, "Who's Debo Samuel?" You know what I mean? Like, you know who he is. It's just a total disrespect thing.
Aaron Donald doesn't like the Niners.
But Micah Parsons is slowly but surely become one of my favorites, not only because of what happened at the NFL Honors when Vallejo's own her said that she loves watching the way that he gets to the quarterback, and he just totally blushed on stage.
I didn't know her was from Vallejo.
Yes. But it was also this interview when they're doing like a quick rapid fire thing of questions. I don't even know which show this is on.
This is Patrick Peterson and Brian McFadden's podcast.
There you go. All things covered. Yep. And they were going through a quick rapid fire with Micah Parsons, and listen to the end.
Who was your favorite player growing up?
Cam Newton.
Best trash talker in the NFL?
Probably Leonard Fournette.
Oh, he talks a lot of trash.
Talks too much.
Oh, yeah, I had a
Too
little
much
back and forth
trash.
on Twitter
Too
as well.
much.
Okay. Favorite sports movie?
Rudy.
Most embarrassing song on your playlist?
Shakira.
That's not embarrassing.
Secure. Who's
Hips don't lie.
Oh, okay.
I feel like Shakira is not
Yeah.
embarrassing.
I mean, the way that I do it is probably embarrassing. Like,
All right.
Fair.
Last question. Weirdest thing about you that few people know?
I have a foot fetish.
What? You
Yeah.
like toes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did not see that. Hold on. Play that
Weirdest
again.
thing about you that few people know?
I have a foot fetish.
A foot fetish?
Yeah.
You like toes?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just hear the producer in the background. Oh.
I have a foot fetish.
A foot fetish?
Yeah.
You like toes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's the woman asking the questions? I want to see her reaction.
They didn't show it.
Damn it.
They didn't show it. They did not show it.
Weirdest thing about you that few people know?
I have a foot fetish.
A foot fetish?
Yeah.
You like toes?
Yeah.
I like.
Who was your favorite player growing up?
All right,
Cam
we got
Newton.
it. We got it.
No. Jeez, damn it. All right, here we go.
I just like Brian McFadden having to expand on that.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah. But hey, dude, I totally like, I get that. Like, I get not the foot fetish thing. I don't get that, but I get like,
Jeez, Steven, save it for another podcast.
I like the fact that, yeah, that's weird that I put it that way, but the fact that he's just so willing to be like that vulnerable, or it's just like you're willing to display something like that. Remember when like, didn't Rex Ryan say something like that too?
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, you know, people
It got Wes Welker in trouble with that
Oh,
playoff
really?
game because he kept doing like foot puns where he was like, yeah, we'll go out there, put our best foot forward.
Oh my God.
We're all little foot soldiers. It was fantastic. Then Belichick benched him the next game. It was a playoff game too. Jesus. Solid comedy.
But like the fact that he's just willing to be that open, and I don't care what anyone says in the comments. People are like, why is that something they need to hide? No, that is something that's it's something weird that nobody knows about you with no hesitation, apparently. Just, I have a foot fetish. Like, what?
He wants people to know.
Very,
Very honest guy. So wait, is Ernie giving me crap because I didn't know that her was from Vallejo?
I guess, but I don't know how many people do know that.
I didn't know that. I don't know a lot about her. Don't know her music, but she's very talented.
She's very talented.
I'd rather hear her, literally, for halftime with Super Bowl than Rihanna, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh God, excuse me. Jesus.
All right.
Yeah, I just burped.
That's gonna be me next Wednesday when I have to drink this coffee and mayonnaise. That's
You might.
disgusting.
You only have to take a couple of sips. I'm not going to make you drink the full thing.
You know what's gross too is okay, before we leave, are you a mayonnaise guy?
Yeah, I like mayonnaise.
Do you take your mayonnaise out of the squeeze container or the spread?
Spread.
Always spread, because the squeeze is just disgusting to me. In the past, my mom has bought groceries and she'll get the squeeze mayonnaise, and I say I cannot get that I can't do mayonnaise from that. And she's like, why? It's like, it's just disgusting to me. This noise it makes and the image of it, can't do it. Have to always have the Hellman spreadable mayonnaise. And
Correct.
it's a weird trait of mine, but it's just disgusting to me.
No, you're not wrong. I think you share that. I think a lot of people share that with you. Like, that's not it. That's no squeeze bottle mayonnaise is just not. I can't tell you why.
Just the image and sound is enough for me to gag.
Squeeze bottles are solely reserved for ketchup, mustard. Is there anything else that's sriracha? Anything else that's squeezable? I'm trying to think.
Well, now they're doing peanut butter and jelly in a jar now together mixed.
Well,
We
that's
can
always
squeeze
been that's always been a thing. You ever seen Matilda?
It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
That's very that's a very me thing to say. But if you've ever seen Matilda, she has both the peanut butter and the jelly spread together.
Haven't seen that in a while, Stephen.
Mm.
But I'm sure
Oh.
you watched that along with Harriet the Spy yesterday.
Yes, and then that darn cat, and then yeah, and then I finished it off falling asleep to all that on my television.
Oh, all that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. On that note, yeah. Everybody enjoy the Super Bowl. Where are you watching, Stephen? Just at the house with Jesse?
Just at the house. Yeah, making some wings. Just at the house.
Making your own wings. So you're not going to do. So we talked about it before. What our go-to Super Bowl foods are. I usually like to do the 50-piece chicken nuggets from McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you're planning on doing wings tomorrow, plan ahead, people. Don't wait till the last minute for Wingstop because you will be shit out of luck.
Yeah.
I would order that shit today.
Yeah, well, or order it tomorrow morning. I did that same thing. Ordered it the morning of. Said I'll pick it up at like 2:00 or whatever, and they had it ready to go. While other people were just waiting in the line. So I do highly recommend that. But no, I kind of just like cooking my own more. Plus, I got like this buffalo wing sauce that I haven't used. Like, what better time to use than on Super Bowl Sunday? And
Nice.
plus you gotta get the wings early. I gotta get them a day ahead. I gotta go get the party wings at the establishment today. Gotta make sure they're, I think it's air dried as opposed to, or
Deep
air
fried?
pressed, or air as opposed. I forgot what the terminology is, but you got to get that.
Like popcorners.
Like what?
You'll see tomorrow when you watch the Breaking Bad commercial.
Don't ruin it for me.
Sorry.
And then you got to get the wings. You got to put them on top of the the little. I don't even know what you call. I barely just started cooking like for the past 2 years, so I'm relatively new to this thing. But you got to get the wings, put it in the tray, and then you got to put it in the fridge for 24 hours. You got to make sure, and then you got to cover it with cornstarch, a little cornstarch and a little flour. And that's what gets the crispiness. You got to make sure you got the air bubbles, the little blisters on the chicken once you cover them. And you put them on there, you put them in the fridge, bring them out the next morning. Bob's your uncle. Put them in the oven. Boom.
Fanny's your aunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sounds good.
It's delicious, Derek.
I'd rather have that than coffee and mayonnaise.
Yeah, well.
All right. And on that note, everybody enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll be back Wednesday to react to it. And if there's any breaking news with Derek Carr, we may do a podcast a little earlier. We'll keep you updated. But we will see what happens next week. Everybody enjoy the game. Steven, say what you always say, my friend.
Look, this is just my opinion, but the fact that Hogwarts Legacy, the video game, isn't coming out on PS4 until the beginning of April is blasphemous. The fact that it's being released already and that it's not being done until April 3rd for PS4, it's stupid. I didn't read it when I pre-ordered it, and apparently I got to wait 51 more days until I got to play Hogwarts Legacy on PS4. All right, that's just our opinion, man.
What the hell was that?
Terrible.